Well, hello everybody and welcome to Coffee Chat. I'm so glad to be here. I'm here with Carol Tuberville and I've got Dana here.
Hey guys.
And
you are?
I'm Sherry.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Sherry Smeraglia. Okay. You guys know that, I think, anyway. And then I've got Will behind the camera here. Yeah, so we're just hanging out, and today the coffee is cold coffee because it is too hot for hot coffee.
It is. I noticed, so last night they were talking about what yesterday's temperatures were,
Yeah.
and we had 118 degree heat index yesterday.
Whoa, that is so hot.
So we're supposed to have that over like the next 3 days.
Oh, it's
like
so
that
hot.
level.
It is so hot, but I'm telling you, and we're down at the beach. We are having a little family into the summer get together before the kids start back. Our grandkids start back to school next Wednesday. And I was asking them today, I was like, are y'all ready for school? Of course they are. Kindergartners are ready.
Oh, of course they are.
Evie's ready, not
Yeah.
older, but Arlo is not.
Mine already started school again,
Yeah.
and no, was not ready.
Not
at
ready.
all. Not ready.
Well, it's just, I don't have any more because Natalie graduated last year. And of course, you guys are now seeing her at work every day. Now she is an adoption specialist. So that's
Yeah.
good.
Working hard.
Yeah, so today we've got a fun topic. But before we get into that topic, I hear that while I'm at the beach house last night, and I drove in, because of course I'm not going to miss Coffee Chat and Doodle Prep School. I love doing that on our Tuesdays. And so I drove in, and I found out that last night Moo had a party while I was gone.
Oh, he sure
did.
did. I got the late night phone call, and it was funny. So I'm laying in bed, and I get the phone call that's, can we please FaceTime with you? And yes, I got
What did
the
he do?
FaceTime.
Well, and for those people who don't know, Moo
Yeah.
is Natalie's Twiddle?
Natalie's Twiddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a small Twiddle, and
Thank-
he is the best boy. Like, never, ever
That's what I
done
heard.
something wrong until he did. And see, here's the difference. We've been out of town. Moo's been hanging out with Natalie. I don't know what's been going on, but he was obviously bored.
I figured out what it probably
Okay,
was.
what happened?
So Moo is used to having other dogs around, where Moo's a smart boy.
Mm-hmm.
And if he stole something out of the pantry while Fletcher or London was there, he would not get to actually eat it.
Right?
Fletcher or London would have
Would eat
taken
it,
it
yeah.
from him. So
Okay.
there's no benefit to him stealing stuff when they're around.
Okay.
But when they were gone too, Moo had fair game. He
All right.
absolutely stole.
He went into the pantry,
In your
y'all.
pantry.
Yes.
Yes, because I said something. Christy's at my house, and I saw her a minute ago, and I said, so, yeah, and she said, do you want me to shut this pantry you just left open? I said, yeah, but I mean, there's really no dogs here because my dogs are being boarded right now while we're on kind of staycation. And she goes, well, then you don't know what happened to Moo last night. And I'm like, what happened? And then she'd say, oh, he had a whole 6-pack of buns. He had cookies. Hamburger buns, cookies, chocolate. He ate some chocolate. He ate Nutri-Bars. He had, what all did
Oh, he had 2 granola bars,
Okay.
like blueberry granola bars.
Okay.
He had a tiny bite off of a dark chocolate candy bar, which was the dangerous one.
Yeah.
And then he ate an entire milk chocolate candy bar.
Oh,
Wow.
gosh.
And other things that the wrappers were
There.
there. But we don't know what they were. But it was not any more chocolate. And then a whole pack of hamburger buns. An
Okay.
entire pack of hamburger buns.
So all this stuff that Moo never does anything, you always think your kids are little angels. Sometimes Natalie's always like, Mom, Moo doesn't do that. I'm like, who tore this up? Moo didn't do it. It's always Moo's the angel. He never does anything.
Well, there was nobody
Christy
else to
said,
blame.
but there's no other dogs in the house but Moo.
How did Moo feel?
So when they called me, Moo was, they FaceTime with me. He was the happiest, most proud of himself boy. I wish y'all could have seen his face with his white whiskers all chocolatey.
It was terrible. It was
I
scary
mean,
too. I'm sure they were
They were
terrified.
very, very scared, but there's a calculator and a formula that you can do to figure out, and he was nowhere near the amount that was toxic, so basically we made him drink water because he was doing a little bit of coughing from all of those hamburger buns
Yeah.
that he ate and how, dry. But we just monitored and watched him throughout the evening, and he's fine, and y'all, toodles, okay? Kudos to this breed, because had that been London or Fletcher, there would have been so much diarrhea.
Oh,
So
my
much
goodness.
diarrhea to deal with. He hasn't even passed gas. He just doesn't even care. His stomach's
He's
like,
got
yeah,
a stomach of
whatever.
iron, apparently.
Yeah, he's like, whatever. I'll eat whatever I want to and not even worry about it.
Well, guys, if you're here today, welcome. I'm glad that you are joining us today. And Dana will be monitoring comments or any questions or anything that you have. I don't know if anybody said anything.
Not yet, but y'all please do if y'all have any questions. I'd love to read your comments.
Yeah, so we are talking today about parent breeds, talking about not just the parent breeds, but we talked about all the generations in the past, but now we want to talk about the 3 parent breeds that we have on property and those breeds, what it takes to produce our beautiful teddy bear Goldendoodles, teddy bear Schnoodles, and then teddy bear Twoodles.
Yes.
And so, of course, you guys know everything starts here with the Golden
Yes.
Retriever. That was kind of the thing. But I want y'all to know that as we talk about our parent breeds, I want you to look at that beautiful picture of those soulful eyes and that big blocky head and that ultra cream coat. That is not the typical, and I know we've talked about English Golden Retrievers. We've done a whole, topic on just them. But do know that the combination of not just this breed, but our specific lines are what sets Smeraglia apart and makes us different.
It is. And we've actually reached a point, and it's, we have pure breeds here and at times have them available because we've reached a point where really and truly we struggle to find dogs, purebred dogs out with other breeders that hit all the boxes that we require of ourselves.
Right.
So the DNA testing, the hip screenings, the elbow, the heart, the coat type, the blockiness, the way they look, the overall health of the dog, the attitude, the temperament. There's a lot of boxes to check to be a parent dog here. And there for a while you were buying parent dogs elsewhere and we were having to just wash them out.
Y'all, it's so hard when you're having a breeding program and you want to make sure that, like she's saying, we checking all the boxes. But the thing is, to keep them a year and a half, and then you just fall in love with these dogs and you want them in the program because they're our babies. They're the ones that are going to be here with us for many, many years. And then them repeatedly fail their hips, fail their testing, all their screenings. And it just got to a point where when we finally started kind of getting some of the right ones, we started breeding our own lines. And so that's what we're doing now with we rarely buy outside our specific lines and 1 or 2 very, very, very secretive people that we work with.
Correct.
That we work out there. They're pretty much part of our program now.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. But beyond that, you're right. At this point, we're years now into breeding our own lines. So even like our purebred poodles and our purebred golden retrievers that we have here, they are multi-generation Smeraglia dogs.
Yeah.
So we have some new ones coming in. You guys may have seen like Arctic and Tundra and a few like that. Well, they have a brother that we kept who is a Thor offspring, who is a Davide offspring.
Right.
And so we have multi-generation at this point that have just been born here.
Was Davide the first, who was your first that you bred?
Male.
Male.
As far as my first ones that were here, were more back in the lines like Mickey and Murphy and all the way back, and even a Charlie back in the day, way before that. Was some of them were before Carol, because that's where I started. That was my heart. So they go way back. But then the poodle lines, a lot of times you guys are like, okay, so first let's talk about Goldens. Let me kind of finish that chapter. English Goldens, there's one thing. When we breed Goldens, we don't breed American golden ones and then red American ones and then all these types. We don't. We are very restrictive. It is English Golden Retrievers only. And so I want y'all to realize that that's one of the things that set us apart, that's going to make our dog different right off the bat. They're going to be ultra cream. They're going to be this soft color, which, like we talked about before, it's harder to get reds in first generations because look how creamy they are. But look at those eyes and that soulfulness and everything, and the black pigmentation. See, that is what I go for. And I'm a blocky head person, and they've got to have the look. Yes. So that's it. One size, no minis, no smalls, no nothing. But then we're going to go to our poodles, okay? When it comes to our poodles, we're going to have 4 different sizes, okay? So poodles, it's not one size fits all because we got one golden and we've got to make a decision on the direction to go. But even though we breed doodles, schnoodles, and twoodles, we have to breed our parent breeds now. And we're doing our own poodles now too.
We are doing our own poodles.
But we're not doing our poodles for you guys. That is not our goal. Our goal for our poodle program and our golden program and our schnauzer program is strictly for us. But you guys will occasionally see these purebreed parent pups because we don't need to keep them all always. Sometimes we do.
Well, I'll give a great example. We bred Heather and Swindell, and so excited about that breeding. Absolutely loved it. And we needed a couple of girls and one boy. We got 5 boys out of that litter, and we just didn't need 5 boys in our program. And so that's where occasionally we will have some available.
It's not. There's no need, and that would be just being overindulgent.
It would. And
we can't keep 5 boys.
But that's where, but what's interesting is you guys a lot of times won't see those posted because our clients who know that we do that, they wait on those and they'll say, hey, when you have a poodle that comes up, you let me know. The other thing is we have enough of you guys that are watching for our parent dogs to retire. That's also another way to get a really, really great dog, because a lot of times we'll hang on to those poodles, do their health screenings, and then see where we're at. And then you get a really great opportunity to adopt a fantastic dog.
Oh, yeah. If we have 5, we're not going to let them go at 8 weeks. So we're going to wait and test them out and see who comes out with the highest score. Now, I might go, oh gosh, look at that chocolate phantom, or look at this, because poodles come in so many different colors, and they're so fun, you know. But then the one you fell in love with color-wise, or the way it looked, might not test this one over here that might be more cream or more common color. It's got exceptional scores. And being a breeder and really wanting excellence, we're going to go with the better scores.
Yeah, we are.
So sometimes it doesn't work out in our favor, it works out in your favor, you know.
And some of the other things we run into is just some of our dogs here are so unique and you love them so much, you don't want to see them go. Johnny's a great example. He is a little toy poodle that we all just adore. And as he gets older and retire, he's already got 3 staff members ready to adopt him the second he's retired. But we'll have Johnny's sons in our program, and I have Karis and just love her. Well, when she retired, we kept her daughters. Well, already her daughters that are in our program that are retiring have staff members on them. And so some of those we just love so much, we want to keep what they are in our program.
Yeah, we do. And I love that. I mean, we love what we produce, and we do spay and neuter them, so we're not going to let those lines get out so that they're going to get in the hands of other breeders, because we work too hard. We're really careful about doing that.
So one of the things you just said that kind of brought a thought to mind too is, as a Goldendoodle, Schnoodle, and Twoodle breeder, as someone who breeds a hybrid, it's pretty unique for you as a breeder to also do the parent breeds, because it means that when you say, I know our dogs.
I know my dogs.
I know my genetics. Somebody who buys a poodle from this breeder over here and then a golden retriever and then breeds those 2 dogs together, they can't know their lines and their genetics in the same way because they bought those from a different breeder. You've got to know it, you've got to live it, walk it, and so that's pretty unique here also.
Yeah, and it's just like out in any world of breeders and dealing with people think they know what they've got until DNA testing comes in. It was when we first started years ago. We've been DNA testing longer than we've been partnering with Embark and everything. And back in the day when we were getting all of our tests in order and saying, okay, this is the direction, we were told, get ready, you're going to lose how much of your program. What was the person that told us that? I know the breeder said, you're going to lose
It was a lot. It was 35-40% of your program.
And I'm we're going to lose. So that's why breeders are terrified to test their dogs, because they know that once they know something, you can't be in good conscience of breeding that when you actually found out. But we had one. And it was kind of...
It wasn't even a health issue.
No, it wasn't. It was like this dog came back and it had, what did it have? King Charles?
Cocker Spaniel.
Cocker Spaniel behind
It
it.
was a poodle that we bought from a breeder. It came with AKC papers, and when
Wow.
we DNA tested, he was 15% Cocker Spaniel.
Wow.
And what did we do?
We retired him, rehomed
Right
him.
away.
Because we don't breed
And then we looked to
cockapoos.
see if we had any offspring in our program that we kept, tested all them and everything like that. It created, I can see the panic that it can cause breeders.
But it was so good that was the one thing that showed up that caused us to retire, because what the other breeders had expressed was, oh, you're going to have a major health thing that pops up, that you're going to have to retire so many. And for us, that was really disconcerting because, okay, you're not testing because you're worried a major health thing's going to come up, but you don't want to know that a major health thing may come up. Like, we want to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're kind of nosy like that. We're like getting into the details,
Yeah,
and we
but we
wanna
didn't
know.
have anything.
No, so we breed our own poodles, and we breed our own poodles in all sizes. Typically not toys. We don't typically breed the toys because we like to take our toys and kind of go to like and make the moyans with them. And we don't need that many little bitty toy ones. So far so good on that. But we do our own breeding of our poodles, and one of the things about our poodles is that as much as our Goldens are English, our poodles have a strong, not French poodle descent, but it's more of a German and Swedish descent. And they have more bone, and I'm not breeding them for conformation. So what would win in the show ring for poodles is not what I want for my breeding program, because I'm breeding poodles that I want more substance, more bone, more block.
And a friendlier coat type.
Yes, friendlier cut. So more hunting poodles.
Yeah, and
more
that's
working
that's where I
poodles.
was exactly
Yeah.
as I was going to say is, so poodles come in purebred poodles. There's two distinct types, so to say. You have the conformation show type, and then you have the field trial type. And there's a saying in the dog sport world: form follows function.
Yeah.
And so basically, through breeding over generation after generation, if a dog cannot function due to their conformation and structure, the breeders will breed it out. So the form of the dog will follow the function of the dog.
Right.
And so that's why the sporting line poodles have a little different coat type. It's easier to maintain, a little more durable when they get wet and they're swimming and
Right.
retrieving. And they have really quite a big difference in trainability and tractability, and the way that they engage and interact with people.
They're true working dogs. I mean, they really are working.
And a little different look. They're not quite as fragile. They're definitely more substance, more
Not
bone.
as snipey. That we kind of go for square muzzles and like bigger round.
And not quite as sensitive as skin, because you got to think these dogs that are out in the field, they need to be able to handle being out in weather conditions and the sun and things like that.
So you guys are like, wow, okay, so yeah, we've got a formula for our poodles and for our Goldens. And of course we've got unique Goldendoodles, and we're really, really, really careful about protecting those lines. Now, we have been doing a lot of retiring, like I've told y'all over the last few weeks. And Carol's, you told me that we've got some standard poodles.
We do.
That are ready to retire, that a lot of people come to us for our retired Goldendoodles and Golden Retrievers. But guys, we've got some poodles right now. So just FYI, if you're looking for a retired parent, they're really smart and they're really human-like. And ours are not. When you think standard poodle, they are different.
And just a little side note for those of you who've been watching us for a while, and you saw Sherry with Quentin years
Yes,
and years
yeah.
ago, like that big, beautiful standard poodle. A couple of the ones that we have retired are Quentin's daughters.
Yes, beautiful, ice white, gorgeous, pretty. So reach out about that. So anyway, we do breed our poodles, but we also, a lot of y'all don't realize, we breed our schnauzers to make our schnoodles and twoodles, and that right there, Zedie, is a pretty thing. But look at that coat. That is not your typical schnauzer. And a lot of people get hung up on the schnauzers because schnauzers have gotten a bad rap because of bad breeding, okay? And they should not be getting the bad rap at times that they get because they just don't have great coats, and sometimes they think they have nasty personalities. I am telling you, years ago, when I say years, y'all know Lauren, she's 36. When Lauren was a little girl, like 10, 11, I mean, we were seriously breeding our schnauzers back then and working with the lines that we have. And when we found like some incredible like dogs, lines, and we tapped into this incredible line, I mean, when we got Alfredo and the different ones in our lines, I mean, that's when things just began to take a turn, and we are so in love with our Schnauzer lines.
Oh yes, and that's one of the things. So whenever I talk to clients on the phone, like what you're saying, a lot of people are hesitant, even though we all know you can look at a Smeraglia puppy and you cannot tell what breed it is. They all look so similar. Temperaments are very, very similar, but I always hear, you know, I really want to avoid a schnoodle or anything with Schnauzer because I knew this Schnauzer when I was growing up. I knew this one over here, and I'm just hesitant. Well, we've been breeding Schnauzers for generations as a pure breed that just aren't that. They're bred for that temperament profile. They're bred for that coat, which again is why we have to breed them, because we feel the same about we don't want a yappy Schnauzer. We don't want an aggressive Schnauzer.
And if you can see that coat, you can just imagine how that coat feels. That is a plush, thick, cotton super coat. And when you combine that with, you know, the poodle, or that's in the line of the schnoodle and then the Goldendoodle, you are going to get the most incredible, non-shedding, allergy-friendly coats. And these dogs are as kind and gentle. We don't have any nasty attitudes in our program.
I would call them bubbly.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think about like a little Schnauzer puppy, like what we have here, and we actually have a litter right now, and they are the cutest things. I visualize if they were a human, they would be a middle school cheerleader. That's the visual that I get
like,
when I think about them.
you.
They are just so happy. They are eager to please. They want to be around you. They're like, yep, let's go check this out. Okay, we don't want to do that. We'll go do this instead.
And the poodles are going to be your quarterbacks. We got you.
Yep. But that's just kind of in my head as I'm doing temperament assessments. I'm like, you could absolutely be a middle school cheerleader.
Well, that's a good analogy. I love that. And our Schnauzers do come in two sizes. You know, we have the giant and then the miniature. We do nothing with the standard Schnauzer. That is not something that I'm interested in doing. That's a whole nother breed. It's interesting. Schnauzers, even though there's 3 different sizes, they are 3 uniquely different breeds. They are not coming from the same lines. Like giants they came from a whole different line of dogs than the miniature do. And that's why they're very stately and just very aloof and just kind of just beautiful. We actually have retired our giant Schnauzer that, you know, Hans, that was with our program for forever, and he did pass away. And so he's no longer in our program, and we are already feeling like, oh my gosh.
I know, it's
we have
hard.
these kids. But my son, Jacob, remembers getting Hans, and now he's a father with 3 kids, and he told me, he said, when you get, I don't know if I've told you this, but he told me last week, he said, Mom, if you bring in another giant Schnauzer, I want to raise him.
Okay.
I want to bring him home. I want him to be mine, because he's thinking about building kind of out in the country. And he said, none of our dogs are like intimidating looking, but that giant Schnauzer, I mean, they're sweet and loving and family dog, but they do have an intimidating look.
Oh, they do. But you know, Hans is one of those that every time we would go over to the vet to get checked out and they would come over, they would always say to me, this is the kind of dog you need in a breeding program.
Yeah.
This is the kind of dog. And they would always ask, do you stud him out? Like some of the local people that have them. And I was like, have them reach out, but probably not. We never did. But it was always very interesting because he's such a great dog.
Yeah.
And one of the things too, as you guys are talking and interacting, we never want anybody to adopt a dog that isn't, you know, what they're looking for. But one of the things I have made sure that clients are aware is with if you're hesitant about the miniature Schnauzer because of what you've heard and the research you've done or an experience in your childhood, remember, sometimes with our mediums, they don't go back to a miniature Schnauzer.
No.
They go back to giant.
Yeah.
It's a giant Schnauzer bred down, not a miniature Schnauzer bred up.
Which is a whole nother temperament and personality. I know with Natalie now being on the adoption team, she started July 6th, so she's, even though she's a new adoption specialist, she's not new to the business because she's been here her whole life. I mean, this business, she was born into this business, so she's heard this lingo her whole life. And she said, Mom, it's interesting hearing people on the phone. They are having to overcome understanding the schnoodle, and she said, but not the twoodle because there's just so much. And I said, well, it's just because misunderstanding and misconceptions, and they don't understand. And I'm so glad because you know the lines and you're able to really just talk to them.
Right.
So I'm glad we're having this chat today.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
talking about
This
it.
was, and this kind of wraps up our series on like the different breeds
Yeah.
that we've got and what's going on. But it didn't feel like it was wrapped up without talking about these, because this is the beginning of everything.
Yeah, it is. So we want you guys to know that we will occasionally have, all of these generations that we've talked about over the last few weeks, the F1s, the F1Bs, the F2s, the F2Bs, and all that, and all of the golden doodle and schnoodles. You don't get that in twoodles because twoodle is a twoodle. It's just a twoodle. A golden doodle to a Smeraglia English golden doodle to a Smeraglia teddy bear schnoodle, that is a twoodle. Any generation for us to accomplish the end goal, twoodle is one generation.
Right.
So far, it's one. We haven't got into multi-gen twoodles yet.
Correct.
And even if we did, we'd still call them twoodles. We wouldn't call them
Right.
F2 twoodles.
And if you just felt the need to have a generation, it's technically an F1 because it
Yeah.
is the first generation cross of
It
two
is
breeds.
an F1 twoodle. And so that is what we breed, the generations. And then we have these 3 parent breeds, Goldens in one size, Poodles in 4, and really the Poodles in the 4, and really not the Schnoodles, but Schnauzers in 2.
Yes. Schnauzers in 2 sizes.
2 sizes only, guys. So that is going to wrap up what we raise, what we breed here at Smeraglia Farm. And if any of these are interesting to you or, sparked your interest in maybe a parent breed, reach out to the office, talk to, I think Jarrett and Sabrina talk mainly with you guys about the retired parents. So if anything, and if you're looking for a poodle, now's a good time.
Yes, for sure. And we have a couple of sizes. We also
Yeah.
have some of the miniature or and some of the Moyen size available.
Yes. So anyway, you guys have a great afternoon, and we will be back later. I'm sure we got more cuteness happening.
No doubt.
Bye.